So guys, here we are for a bonus episode of the Stones Rolling On Up. I'm going to be going through with you today just an overview of the series and some of the things that have gone on while we've been Maidstone boss. Let's get into it and see quite what happened. So guys, welcome back to the Stones Rolling On Up and to this bonus episode, the first of two that I'll be doing on the channel. This one, as I've just mentioned, will be about an overview of the Maidstone save, the Stones Rolling Up series kind of throughout our time as the Maidstone boss, and another one which will be coming out probably early next week will be a look 5 years in the future, kind of at what has happened with Maidstone after we finished being the Maidstone manager. So kind of, will they climb up the leagues further or will they fall back down? But guys, as I've mentioned, we're going to be doing an overview here today. If you missed the last episode of the series finale, episode 56, I would highly recommend you go back and watch it. There should be a link right above me for you to click on. We were in the playoffs and you can have a look at the madness that ensued, where it was just crazy. It really was. With it being the final episode, I couldn't have asked for it to be any more insane. I really couldn't. It was a fantastic episode. And if you want to have a look at quite what happened, then just use a link. But in terms of spoilers, if you do want to go and have a watch it, use the link now, because we did win the playoffs. Unbelievably, really. Considering the fact that it was our first time in League One, I still can't believe the fact that we managed to do it. It's only the day after for me having recorded that episode, so I still cannot believe the fact we managed to get ourselves promoted from League One into the Championship. But guys, just to let you know, I have actually just recorded this, but for the first time over the course of 56 episodes. I've never done it the whole time I've been doing those episodes, and I had the wrong camera setting on. So instead of having me like this and then you'd be able to see the Football Manager screen, I had myself as the big screen. So you couldn't see anything I was talking about, despite the fact I had gone through the entirety of this video that I had planned. Even so, I'm happy to go through it again because I love this Maidstone team and the fact that we've achieved so much with them in such a short period of time. But what I'm kind of going to go through with you is essentially what we managed to do while we was boss, of some of the things we won, the seasons that we managed to do with Maidstone, and kind of how the finances look now that we've finished here, and also our best team and our best 11 kind of throughout the series. So first of all, in terms of how we got on while at Maidstone, of course, we've been here for now 5 seasons, and in that time, we have been promoted 4 times, including this season. I cannot believe the fact that that has happened. I really can't. I thought definitely early on we might get maybe 1 or 2 quick promotions, get out from the Vanarama National into League 2. But that's where I thought we would struggle. I thought we'd get stuck in League 2, but we got past that the first time of asking. And then the fact we've done it in League 1 as well, I just didn't expect that whatsoever. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if we had carried on, if we'd had more time, it would have taken us 2, 3, maybe 4 seasons to get through the Championship and into the Premier League. I don't think it would have been an easy task whatsoever, and I think looking back, having started in July, it was a bit of a big undertaking really for me to try and expect to possibly reach the Premier League before FM21 came out. Of course, I know back then there was no announcement for the official release date and things like that, so we didn't have anything really to work with. But it would have been, if I'd done it within 5 seasons, that would have been insane. But I don't think it's possible really. But still, in terms of that first season when we joined the club in 2019-2020, we managed to win the National League South quite comfortably. I mean, I know it was quite close between us and I think it was Chelmsford, thinking back. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly who it was. But we did very well to win it in that first season. The Vanarama National League, when we returned to it after Maidstone were relegated in real life, we then had a decent first season back in league. We finished 8th, just outside the playoffs. Quite unfortunately, really. It was pretty close, then we kind of just dropped off towards the end. But in the following season, we went again and we finished 3rd inside the playoffs this time, and we got ourselves promoted from the playoffs. And that was fantastic, getting into League 2, being in the Football League the first time since Maidstone were refounded back in '92. That was a wonderful achievement. But then the fact that in our first season in that league, once again, and then we managed to go and win it, I couldn't believe that. I mean, we made some good signings, but I didn't think the squad was capable of doing it. And in the fact that this season, in terms of League 1, if we go to the table, here we are with it. The fact that we finished in 6th place with 76 points, a really good points haul for our first year in the league, with 22 wins under our belt. and then managing to actually win the playoffs as well with teams like Sunderland and Coventry in the mix there. It's just astounding, really, especially when you consider the fact that if we look at Maidstone's kind of prediction by the media, before we had the January transfer window where we made a lot of new signings, we were predicted to come 18th, and yet we finished 6th and got promoted, which, it just shows kind of what the media expected. What I expected, I thought we'd be kind of mid-table, maybe top half if we were lucky, not promotion contenders, but we managed to do it. And we made some great signings. We had some great players coming in. Of course, we had the massive sale in the January transfer window. If we go to the transfer screen and look at the history, we had the huge sale of Martin Gillespie when he went to Leeds for £8.5 million, which even looking back now, I don't really understand why they paid it for him. I mean, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's a decent youngster, got probably good amount of potential, probably be a decent Prem player, but he's not £8.5 million worth of player, that's for sure. And I presume Leeds, he's played once in the Prem. He got a sub appearance, that was it. And otherwise, he just sat in the under 23s. I mean, it was up to Leeds. They gave us all that money, and then we spent some of it on some players, and we got in a lot of loanees and some new free transfers. And really, I think one of the main kind of impacts of why we did quite so well, following on from the sale of Gillespie, was bringing in the likes of Riviere and also bringing in the likes of Viner and Greengrass. I think they really helped the squad out quite a lot, especially getting Greengrass in as a proper wing-back, because he actually is an out-and-out wing-back. I think having that option for us with our fight-the-back formation helped out quite a lot. Now, obviously, in terms of that massive sale, the club financially did wonders from that. It's a bit of a shame, really, that we have to end our time in Maidstone, because right now the club are extending the stadium, they're improving their facilities and their youth recruitment and their youth coaching and everything like that. We've been given a huge amount of money for next season. So it's a real shame that we can't really get to use that, but unfortunately, it's just kind of time constraints have just prevented it. But like you can see, kind of the club was continuing along quite merrily, making a bit of money, losing a bit of money. Then after we got promoted from the National League and we started spending quite a bit more, the club really struggled financially. They went into massive amounts of debt. We sold a few players in around this period of time here, and then a few more as we went. But then it obviously gets to the January of 2024, and then there's this huge spike from selling Gillespie and a few other players. I think Dando and a couple others went out at this point in time. And then obviously the club's in a much better financial position right now. They've finished this season on £7 million in the bank. That's probably the most Maidstone have ever had at any one point. And in fact, we've given a wage budget for 100 grand as well, which is over double what the club has currently. It would have been a really fun season, but we're just not going to be able to get to do it, unfortunately. But even so, the fact I can kind of know that the club has been left in this amazing position, ready for us to do this little simulation where we're going to go 5 years in the future. We're really interested to see what the AI Maidstone boss does with all of this money and so on in their first season in the Championship. Will they spend a lot of it? Will they kind of really improve the squad or not? It'd be quite fascinating to see, really. Now, though, obviously that covers the finances and everything else going on at the club. The main thing I really want to take a look at, though, is the best 11 of the Maidstone team while we've been here. So over the course of these 5 years, I've actually just advanced a day so that the best 11 can update. And this is what the game reckons is the best 11 overall for Maidstone during our time at the club. Unsurprising, really, especially considering how he performed in the playoffs, is the fact that Lewis Ward has been put in as our goalkeeper. I think that is very fair, because really until Lewis Ward came in, last season, we didn't really have a first choice keeper. We had Jake Cole in season 1 who was okay, and then Julie Andrews, who is actually on this list, she's down here. She came in as kind of the first choice, but was never really intended to be the first choice for as long as she was. And then eventually Lewis Ward came in as our first choice when we was in League 2. But Lewis Ward has now played 89 times for the club. He has a 6.8 average rating, which for a goalkeeper is very good, actually. But definitely this season he was phenomenal in kind of making our push for promotion possible and for getting us through the playoffs with those penalty saves. If you look at actually his history, you can see here, first season he played 40 games, 16 clean sheets in league. Second season, 46 in the league, 15 clean sheets. He played every league game. He was really good. He played 49 in all competitions, so really fair play to Lewis Ward. You then have Stefan O'Connor, who of course left, at the beginning of this season, I think Stefan O'Connor left. He went to Blackpool. He was a very good pickup for us. He joined halfway through, I think, our first season in the National League. He played 91 games for us, scored 10 goals, which for a centre-back is really, really good. And yeah, he was just a very good, very consistent centre-back, and I had no complaints, and I think it's very fair that he's in this team. On the list after O'Connor is Mark McGuinness, who was the goal scoring supremo, and I believe actually has our highest average rating of all of our players. And yes, actually he does. He has a 7.32 average rating as a centre-back, which of course is primarily because of the fact he scored quite so many goals. The fact he had 16 goals in 74 games, which is about a 1 in 5 average goals to game ratio, is astonishing for a centre-back. But it's just because of the fact he was so good in the air, and he had 20 jumping reach, I think 16 or 17 headers, and obviously we put him on those far post corners. Even though the tactic for the corners was pretty naff, he just won headers all the time and scored goals for fun. I don't know how he's got on when he's been at Doncaster, so he joined there now in the Championship, I think, and he had an okay first season, played 17 times, and then he's barely been used this season, so not going great for him this time around, but he's had a decent time while at Doncaster. Next, though, on the list is Dion Sanderson, who has left the club now. Of course, we sold him in January, not for very much money because his contract was running out. But he was a good centre-back for us, did a good job. He also joined in the National League, I think, did Dion. Yeah, he joined in our second National League season. He played 85 times for us, scored 7 goals, 7.01 average rating. Again, a decent player. He could also play out the right-back role as well. It was a shame to have to see him go. It was just because of the fact he wanted too much money, really. And there was other players I could bring in, the likes of Viner being a good example. So really just a bit bad luck, really, that Sanderson couldn't stay with us longer. Of course, I think he's now at Ipswich, and he's doing quite okay for them. But next at right back, and I think this is very fair that he is our right back, really, is Joel Senior. Of course, he hasn't been first choice really much this season, or for much of last season. It's been Zach Swanson, who does also appear on the list a bit further down. But Joel Senior, I think, deserves to be the first choice right back. He's played a ton of games. He's had 154 games, the second highest on this list for us. He's scored 18 goals as well, mind you, from right back. I think a lot coming from while he's been right wing back, it's worth noting. But he's got a decent average rating, a 6.87, and just a good player for us. I mean, technically, he's pretty dreadful. It's mainly due to his physical and his decent mentals that he's as good as he is. But he's always done a good job for us, and I've liked having him at the team. Next on the list is Sam Mccallum, and I would probably agree with that at left back. Left back's always been a tough position for us. We've previously had Chesers, who was okay. We've now got Fraser Greengrass, so I think if he had a few more years with us, we'll probably become that first choice left back on this best 11. But Mccallum has been here for a little while. We've been here now for 2 years on loan from Norwich, and he's had a good time while he's been with us. 82 games, 10 goals, 7.0 average rating. Cannot complain with that at all. You really can't. Now, the main thing really which I think has helped us with our kind of promotion pushes the last few years is our 2-man midfield that we previously had. Well, we had the 5 at the back formation like we're using now, and also when we had the 4-3-3 that we were using originally. And it's really having these 2 men in that midfield of Manny Smith and Alfie Payne. Alfie Payne, who has now moved on, he went to Doncaster, I think, and Manny Smith, who is still at the club. Manny Smith with 139 games. He only scored 6 goals, but his average rating of 7.22, and it was all about his assists and his key passes, really, for the club that made him such a vital cog in our team. And the same applied to Alfie Payne. He played 115 games, slightly less, but of course he left last season. Scored 6 goals, again the exact same number of goals, 7.2 average rating. You can see they're very, very similar players, and they both did a similar job, but they both worked really, really well for the team. Manny Smith, I think, has kind of been a little bit unlucky, really, because of the fact he obviously was first choice for so long, and just because of the talented players we've now brought into that midfield, he hasn't played as many games this year. He started 27 games, had 9 sub-appearances, so he still played quite a lot this season, but not as many as he has done in previous years. You then have Cole Palmer, which I probably would agree with. He's been very good for us since he joined. He's played 97 games. He only scored 7 goals, which was one of the main things that always frustrated me with Palmer, was the fact he didn't score as many goals as I wanted to do. He got a lot of assists, though. He got 7.05 average rating. You can't really complain with that. He was a very, very decent player. You then have a man who I really do like in this team. He was really, really good for us, especially when we went to the 5 at the back formation in Ike Ugbo. He joined halfway through our second season in the National League, so year 3 of the series. He played 131 games of competition, scored 57 goals. He has struggled a little bit this season. He did score, I think it's 12 in the league this year, and then he's been on a goal drought for about 3 months. It's just ridiculous. He cannot score at the moment. The guy previously had really good goal to games ratios. When you look at it, he had 21 goals in National League after 26 games, then 14 in League 2 with 38 played, and this season 12 goals from 42. So it was always been a good goals to game ratio, but this season he has struggled, which is why I did drop him towards the end of the season. But the main man who I think everyone who has watched has a bit of an affinity with, I certainly do, is Jamie Thomas. He's been here since the beginning of the save. He's played 187 games for us, scored 95 goals, a 7.16 average rating. He was amazing for us. He got us up so many divisions. He got us to late stages in the cups and things, and he scored so many important goals for us. He really did. It's just a shame he was such a money-grabbing sod. It really was, because it was entirely his wages that have caused me to just let him go, because at the moment he's out on loan at Halifax. He had a decent year. He scored 14 goals in 42 games, but he's on £4,000 a week. He is still our highest paid player at the club, despite not even being here. And his contract is expiring in a month's time. So it's a sad way really to leave him and to have him kind of leaving the club in this way. But unfortunately, he is just a victim of our success and his own success. Because he was scoring so many goals, I had to pay him a lot to keep him at the club, because there was big teams always interested in him. And it just kind of spiraled a little bit. So it's just a shame. But definitely, Jamie Thomas is a footballer from FM20 who I will probably always remember. There's a few from previous saves I've done, regens and real players, who I can always remember. And Jamie will probably always have a place kind of in my memory from this save, because he was just fantastic for us. He really was. Now, there's a couple of players on this list who are also very much worthy mentions. The first one being Justin Malazar, a class player, played a lot of games as a left-footed right winger and inside forward, and also played occasionally up front as well. 126 games, 42 goals. He was purely a pace merchant, but he was fantastic at doing that. The only other player I will mention on this list, though, guys, who I really think deserves a spot here, is Canas. He's not been with us very long. He only came on loan last season, and he's only played 72 games. But this season especially, he is the prime reason, alongside Lewis Ward, why we got promoted. He has the most man of the matches in the entire league. He got 9 overall, and he has been amazing. You can see here he had a 7.32 average rating. The flat three-man midfield especially has made him play so well. And he has so many key passes and chances created in 90 minutes. He has been amazing. He really has been. But guys, that I think just about wraps up this overview episode. I mean, there's some other players on here that we can mention, but I think they are kind of the main bunch of the lads who have really done wonders for us across the series and in this season especially. And I think that just about wraps up this bonus episode here today. So guys, there we have it. What is essentially going to be the last video with the Stones Run Up series, at least at this point in time. Of course, we're going to come back in a few years' time in game when we do the 5 years in the future simulation with the Maidstone team. But that wraps up this overview with our Maidstone team from the Stones Run Up series. I still cannot understand how we did so well this season, but I'm so pleased about how we actually did and the fact we got as far as we did through the leagues. And I really hope, guys, that you are as well. If you have enjoyed this series and if you've enjoyed this video today, looking at this overview with the squad, then please do chuck a like on today's episode. It really does help the channel out. And also, guys, let me know down in the comment section below, who was your favourite player during the Stone series? Was it much like myself? Was it Jamie Thomas? Or was it maybe one of the newcomers? Was it perhaps, say, Canas or Lewis Ward in net? Because, of course, he was such an important player. Or was it Mark McGuinness? Because I know a lot of people who have watched do quite like Mark McGuinness and all of his goal-scoring antics on centre-back. I'm going to say, do let me know down in the comments. As well, though, guys, if you're looking forward to seeing any more of my content, whether that being the 5 years in the future episode with Maidstone coming next week, or any of the upcoming FM21 content, such as the Manchester United beta save, then do make sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with everything here on LS Plays FM. But guys, thank you very much for watching. I will see you again next time.